Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. All right, we're working now. Test, 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 test. Sorry about the audio glitch, folks. Had my headset almost plugged in. It was like just like a sliver out, so it's causing some issues. So, well, thank you for joining. I don't expect there to be very much going on here because I'm having to bring in traffic from the other channel to this one. This is not the main channel. This is the backup channel. This backup channel has quite literally a fraction, a very small fraction of the amount of viewers that the main channel has. So that's kind of an issue. And I never really had much of a presence on Twitter to begin with, so that doesn't really help me much when these things happen. So anyways, I don't want to delve excessively on that. I'm happy to have anybody here, so thank you for being here. Provided it's not a bot or a troll, I'm happy to have you here. I might even entertain bots and trolls for a change. You never know. I'm in that kind of a mood. It's been such a weird, whatever you want to say, week or so. And it's, could be going better. So that's part of what this is about. Is that really, folks, with what's going on right now, I'm having to help folks understand that it's a pretty... I got shut down for 2 weeks on the main channel. It's pretty much my main revenue stream. It's the primary way I earn an income. And they've taken away my car at this point because I just can't replace the one that I had before. It's just not viable at this stage. So I'm in kind of a, I could be in a better spot as far as that goes. But I'm not that concerned for the future. But I do need to reach out to folks to say that those who would like to form more meaningful partnerships, or who have been thinking about contributing in a more meaningful way, or just in general, this would be a great time, because this is the time that I need it most if I'm going to continue the work that I've been doing, which is I think very important. I'm just kind of in a standstill at the moment because I can't really afford to do any more than I am, and I can't buy a car, and I can't really get out of the place that I'm in without having more assistance. That's the problem. It has to be meaningful. Sorry, folks, I don't mean to disregard anything that's not that. It's just it's all meaningful to me. What I mean to say that is that it really, this has to be a time where folks who want to partner with me, we need to really be thinking more strategically about where you want to have your future go in this country. And if you take my material seriously, and I hope you do if you're here, that this is something that you take seriously, that you'll understand that my failure, I'm not trying to make myself go out of my way to have any failures here, folks. It's just simply that this has been a very challenging time. And I feel, look, I want you guys to know, I'm extremely hopeful, and I'm extremely optimistic. And this is not at all me being like, yeah, I mean, I need to express when we have challenges, folks. I would be irresponsible if I didn't explain to you why it's important to be, in a more meaningful stage of partnership with more people at this phase. I understand, folks. There's been times where maybe it seems like I'm a person that could be a little bit difficult to partner with, only in the sense that my standards seem a little bit rigid, but they're not. They're just kind of they're simple and fair, and they're not really standards. I don't think of it that way. It's because I'm not a person that's just all like, I have standards. I don't really think that way. I'm not snobby that way. It's just simply that I take what I do very, very seriously. And I ask that when I'm spending time with people, that they appreciate that I want to make it meaningful. And what that means to me might be different than what others consider it to me. So what does that mean? Like, I like to have conversations where we discuss ancient sites, architecture, maps. That's the part of bringing things that are involving the metaphysical into the physical reality, and understanding better what makes everything that exists around us what it is. How did we get here? How did people decide to build entire cities and countries and civilizations and villages, whatever, you know? Um, and I think about these things quite a bit, and I always have. I've always been a person since childhood that zoomed out a little bit from everything and thought of myself as looking at, including me, kind of being outside of it all, looking in, and just trying to imagine, um, just separating myself from the problem. That's not some weird. Don't worry, guys. I know my personality is intact. It means to say that I really strive for an objective mind when it comes to reviewing both my own behavior and that of others, not in a judgmental way. I just try to look at it all more like, how do I find greater understanding with what motivates every individual in this situation as much as I can. I would almost say it was something that sort of froze me in my career at times, because I was almost trying to make too many people happy, simply because I was trying to accommodate far too many perspectives and beliefs. So what did that mean, actually? What I mean by that? I'll give you an example, guys. Like, um, so I was in a really technical role for many years. I spent 20 years in the wireless engineering industry. Let me turn this off. I don't need this much air conditioning. Although it is hot as hell here. Not really hot as hell, actually. It's still pretty cool, all things considered, but I don't know why I said that, actually. It's really not that bad out here. Probably because I was always used to chilly, cold coastal conditions, and then anything that exceeds 50 degrees anymore feels extremely hot to me. It'll be like your Brits over there. Sorry, horrible accent. I'm sure I can do better if I just work on it a little bit. That one wasn't really that good at all. I have to think of somebody specific to do. I'll have to practice my Sean Connery a bit. I was watching some Sean Connery movies recently. Do you see him? Have you got him in your sights? Sean Connery. I've got to think of something more. Trademark Sean Connery. Bond. James Bond. I don't know. I didn't really watch a lot of the Sean Connery James Bond movies, oddly. Weird. I think because Roger Moore was more popular with the Bond series when I was a kid. Anyways, who cares about that topic? I'm not really wanting to talk about the James Bond series right now. I never really cared much about those movies, to be honest with you. They didn't really impress me that much. I'm not sure why. I mean, they're cool. My brother was like super, super into them, though, man. Like, I don't know. I never really got into them. Anyways. So yeah, so some of the issues that are going on right now is a little bit of the oh, and thank you for saying that there. I do appreciate that, Mole. I yeah, it's been the thing I know about this, the reason why I feel more confident now that I know they're really trying to just whittle me down to next to nothing and just like try to prove. It's just like really weird the way they come at you so aggressively right when you get to the cusp of a really life affirming concept that's actually pretty beautiful and miraculous. And like I'm pretty much glowing thinking about it. I don't get that bothered much. I mean, my channel shut down for 2 weeks over some total nonsense, man. And it's just like, and I just don't, you know, it bothers me that the things that they've been doing, I guess, don't really make a lot of sense. Like they'll do things over like some nonsense involving some copyrights. I'm like disputing things that don't even exist, you guys. Like they're saying that I used music in some streams that I didn't even play music in. It's nowhere in the background. It's not, I'm not playing any video material in it, so it couldn't possibly be that. And you know, So what's been happening lately is that they basically, most of the people that I know are pretty much frauds and the bullshit artists that kind of stack up, the trolls. They've been kind of more or less kind of like having them all aggressively do like this simultaneous cluster attack and then withdraw my channel from existence for a couple of weeks, knowing that it's my main source of income. So it's, again, it's just like this constant double whammy, but it's all so manufactured, you guys. Like, I know when it's the cult doing it. It's the Love Family cult that are assigned, and they send their characters into the chat, and they're the ones that drop all the bullshit little informational sets that discourage people that may be interested in my material from looking deeper into it, because you see that one of these Infraguardian Love Family cult trolls is saying, oh, okay, yeah, that's what's going on. Except you don't really know that these people are the traffickers. I don't want to get into that topic, guys. It's such an ugly topic that I don't like to really talk about it excessively, and I don't really want to have it be a huge part of my material in the future. And so here's the thing: anybody that I'm just going to be pretty rigid about it, as far as like I'm not going to have a lot of drama. If people want to start drama, then it's pretty much just shut down. That's it. It's done. It's over. I don't give a. Just so you know, doesn't bother me. I don't get on here to be liked, and I don't really care. Um, because what I'm trying to do right now is start something that's in this country, especially right now, given the current state of disinformation and promotion of disinformation and the aggressive, what appears to be the aggressive takeover of interests that are within the Chinese Communist Party, and how they're exploiting a group within the United States whose primary interests are human trafficking, child pornography, to be blunt. That's who they're recruiting. These people are basically the ones that are out in the streets that are kind of saying, yay, communism, and hiding behind their third or fourth alias that they got as a result of getting caught being a trafficker, which is one of the reasons why fake names have become so prevalent in America, is because these are people that not only were caught being traffickers of some nature, or caught being, helping supporting those networks, or being part of a CP. I'm going to say CP, HT, and CT going forward, folks, because I just don't like saying the terms. They're ugly. So HT being human trafficking, CT being child trafficking, CP being child porn, and just leave it at that. I'm not going to keep saying those words out loud because I just don't like it. It resonates so freaking abrasively, but people also have to understand the seriousness of those issues. So one of the reasons why I don't tolerate a lot of nonsense and people causing drama is because I take those topics very seriously. I'm not your average YouTube personality in that I don't give a shit. I'm not really trying to aggressively pursue a subscriber base in the sense that I'm trying to impress people, or gain an audience to, gain all sorts of crazy ass revenues and make all sorts of crazy ducats. It's not like that. It's that these topics that I discuss, I take very seriously, and I've been trying basically to separate myself from the influence of a group of people that are highly influential in America, that are part of these cults. And I don't want to have anything to do with it. I never have wanted to have anything to do with it. And they're always getting back into my areas. They're always getting in here. They're always finding their way back in. And it's funny, like, I don't care how small the audience is, one of them will find their way in. I guarantee you. And you can dump them out a million times and they'll come right back like roaches. So I'm not going to excessively argue or debate it or anything like that, or spend a lot of my energy on them. I'm just going to get rid of them, plain and simple. And they can keep creating new profile names, and I'll get rid of those too. Understand? I don't like. Here's the thing, folks. If you take what I do seriously and you give me shit, I don't want to listen to you. Just make it clear about that. I don't take hate mail from people. I just don't listen to it. The first few words that I read that's hateful, I immediately delete it. It's gone. So just make sure you understand that. I don't let toxicity and poison into my environment unnecessarily. And I would encourage others to do the same thing. What these people try to do, let's discuss the spiritual warfare component of what we exist in, folks, talking about metaphysical into physical. Part of the reason why I'm doing my best just to leave all this crap about what this group that I was raised into have done behind is because it's dragging us all down into a reality that never really truly existed to begin with, except that they made it that way. And the sooner you understand that what I'm focusing on right now is metaphysical in nature, which is to say that I take everything to do with this biofield research extremely seriously. And if you're here for entertainment, that's fine, but just I'm not going to entertain you. And I don't care. Now, the people that like want to get informed and educated and get to know more about those concepts, and I'm totally cool with welcoming them here. And even some of the people that prior may have been a little bit more cynical, I welcome them too to just listen for a little bit and try to understand that what I'm trying to do here, and that it's important. It's important right now, folks, with what's going on YouTube and social media and Twitter. I'm seeing some pretty high profile people get canceled. I saw one today, actually, that, look, they're not maybe the most well known character, but they're very sharp and they definitely know how to. In fact, they're probably one of the most clever that I've ever seen as far as having multiple routes to dance their way out of being canceled, censored, or effectively deleted by social media. I haven't been following her material as closely lately, but those of you, I don't know if you're familiar whether her name is. Oh, welcome, Lisa. How you doing? Welcome. I'm sorry. The person I'm thinking of though is Ella's For the Way, and she also has a website called Some Bitch I Know. And again, she's super clever about finding different routes that like multiple backup channels, multiple Twitter profiles that, one, I remember like when she was getting heavily censored like a few months ago, or maybe it was several months ago, like they would delete one channel because she said something on Twitter or she gets suspended or whatever. And then she would immediately have another one that was called like, Some Clever Bitch I Know. Someone was called some whatever. I can't remember what it was. It was just funny, because it wasn't just that she had a plan and a backup or whatever. Like each one was almost like, ha on everything they tried to do. So on top of it, being thinking ahead, every time they tried to like do something, like her method of beating it was also very entertaining. And so I'm trying to, always do things in a similar spirit, to try not to feel defeated excessively, even though I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, right now, this is a pretty serious time, folks, as far as like, what are we going to get done here? And so I don't want to be the person that's just like, blah, blah, blah. It's not like that. I actually have some pretty significant plans for how to get this all to happen, and how to bring more things into physical reality by leaving as much of this behind as we can. I don't want to focus on this. I would really like everything going forward to be pretty much exclusively about things like pyramidal energy, the maps, and everything else like that. And here's why. You have to think of it when they say anchor. Let's talk about MK Ultra. Let's talk about physical reality a little bit. When they say anchors, what does that mean? Like, okay, so they say like a lot of times when they talk about a mental anchor, They mean to say that somebody said something that was almost like it scared you, like boo, and then it got such a reaction out of you that moment stayed, quote, anchored. It left an imprint inside your memory. Well, there's another term, right? Anchor also applies to a ship and what keeps it, from moving. And so again, anchoring in that sense, keeping from moving. And so, um, the point I'm trying to make here, folks, is that physical reality, making our physical reality dark and trying to constantly stress us and like remind us about how awful it's going to be and how horrible it's going to be, and just like, yeah, take this, and yeah, I'm going to stall you again. I'm going to make this even worse. Okay, great. But you know what, guys? No, not great, but yeah, it's awful. Okay, but really do at those moments, I'm telling you, the more you can learn to transmute the energy at that moment, to learn to take it to be almost like, I mean, like you start by you don't let it in, but it's if it happens. What I mean to say is, if they succeed, don't let them succeed. But if they succeed in actually bothering you at that moment, this is the time where you really have to take those challenges and just like learn to um, laugh it off as much as you can, because it's through that release of endorphins. It's a literal chemical process. I really think that if you laugh and you genuinely feel it, I mean, you might have to fool yourself into laughing a few times. That's okay. You might have to kickstart your brain and go, whatever, fine. I mean, hey, they do it with laugh tracks on television series or whatever, maybe it's not the most sincere thing or whatever, but but it might kickstart the process a little bit, and at least the fake one still at least gets a little bit of the endorphins going. It's if you think about it, that's a priming process. It's a pumping process that hits your pineal gland at a frequency level. It's kind of a fake laugh what I just did there, but think about the way it vibrates your pineal gland. Let's talk about that a little bit, because physical anchors are really about telling us what our anchors are about telling us and trying to force us into a physical reality of somebody else's design by getting us to manifest it through our own pineal glands, through their suggestions, through their mass resonance manipulation exercises, through their media organizations basically surrounding us and telling us that this is what's correct. This is what you should think. And if you do not reinforce these ideologies, then you are not going to be one of the cool people. And now they want to take it to that next level where they restrict our movement and where we go state to state, let alone country to country. I mean, folks, if we allow this to happen, and really, you need to look into the absurdity of this and what they're truly doing. If you knew what I knew about how this all started, really everything that's gone on the last year and a half, I keep saying to people, like, I've been saying it from the beginning, like, does anybody know what a corona really is? I mean, everything I'm doing right now is biofield research. It's a corona, just not a virus. It's a life affirming thing. So why would they name a virus something that's actually a ring of energy that's like a sort of, it's the evidence that life is there. It really, if you think about it, corona is an emission, a flare surrounding a ring like the sun. That's just a sign. It's physical, whatever within a photograph or whatever. It's just a sign of gaseous or whatever matter that that there's that exists, and so strange to me that in this field of research that I'm in right now, that it literally takes this circular ring when it's calibrating the unit, and there's a corona, that's multicolored that surrounds it, and then it applies that same method to your body for your biofield. And at that same time that the coronavirus started is when I was beginning all of my helionosis research. I was just buying the meter. Somebody helped me get that. Thank you to that person at that time. Thank you very much. That I didn't even get a chance to use, guys. This is I want you guys to understand this, so you know how long these things happen for. I bought a helionosis meter in early, about this same time, about a month, maybe March, I would say, maybe late February of 2020, because somebody said, "Hey, would you like to get some of this gear you're talking about? I'll help you." And I was like, "Great, thank you. That's exactly all. That's really what I need right now. Also, help with other things, but yes, that would definitely help." And so this is what I'm observing. I'm telling you guys this. Every time I get the gear that I need to prove out another piece of this, they just go for the jugular on every other aspect of my life. So they'll stall it. Number one, that package I waited 6 weeks for, and it wasn't really going that far. And then when it shows up, it had a cracked thing on it. And then, there was all kinds of issues with getting the replacement. And then I had to leave the area. And then I wasn't stable for several months as far as an address goes. And I had to haul this meter with me everywhere I went, state to state, sometimes clear across the country, never getting to really use it in a meaningful way, aside from just, "Hey, look, my finger, I can make it go up and down." I never really had a chance to really do anything of significance with it or take it out in the field. And so it wasn't, then people started helping me out a little bit more earlier this year. And then again, then I was like, great, I can actually go start doing some energy balancing. I can start checking on energy signatures in the soil. Hopefully I can learn how to use this monitor and things like that. And as burdens were relieved from my life, yeah, I was able to accomplish a lot. I think anybody who witnessed those live feeds and those the streams, or even the content that I was just posting daily at that time, will understand like how meaningful that work was. I literally had rainbows following me around, guys, and it's trippy when I start researching things involving Professor Emoto. Professor Emoto actually was in a study with the inventor of the BioWell camera, Dr. Karatov. Professor Emoto went out to Siberia, and they were doing this whole study involving the effects of prayer and meditation relative to whether or not it creates weather events. It's funny because here in the West, we sometimes kind of like, scoff at it, even though I think the reason why they scoff at it here is because they've only weaponized it. And I don't mean to be dark here, folks. It's just reality. They do things like HARP. They do things like, and we're all HARP, just so you know. Did you know people can do what HARP does? All HARP really is a replication of what humans do as a hive mind or as a group together, if they can clock at the same frequency. If you look at the antenna array of HARP, that ELF grid, the ELF, extremely low frequency that aims up into the sky up there in Alaska, well, just put your human brain and body into those, where those antennae are, and then hold hands with a bunch of other people, and you have your own HARP. Did you know that? You broadcast extremely low frequency. HARP broadcasts extremely low frequency. You're multi-frequency. HARP is also. You have emissions that control plasma. That's what they did with HARP. They literally create plasma balls, plasma fields up in the sky. You can do the same thing. Well, if plasma is sort of the building blocks of what we exist in and what structures our reality, then I'm asking you to really think about what I'm explaining to you here in a meaningful way. I'm asking you to think about, what are we going to exist in going forward? What do you want to manifest? Because I promise you, I'm a person that does know how to make those things into reality. But one thing that is a struggle for me, folks, is that it just seems like every time I get the gear that I need to make this work, they just go right for the rug sweep on every other aspect. And I'm asking folks to let that fail this time, please. Don't let these people succeed in that. Let's find a way to make this attack a success for all of us in a meaningful way, where we co-create and coexist and begin to form a metaphysical governance within America independently, that's multifaceted, that we all decide what we want it to be. Because the more we focus on what we want to manifest into reality, and the less we think about what they've already done, you understand that we begin to form the building blocks instead of staying anchored inside the wet cement of what they keep trying to add on to the old dry cement. That's all they're doing, guys. They don't even change what they do. All they do is add wet cement onto the dry cement. And the more we keep, like, it's funny because then we get a jackhammer out and we learn how to unchisel ourselves from that last dried cement that we got stuck in, that we stepped into. They keep tricking us into stepping into it. Don't blame yourselves, guys. They're not, you're not dumb. They're just extremely clever. And they're not even that smart. They really just had, I have to tell you something, guys. It's just that they had this little bit of information that most of us can't believe. It's that they can believe something that we can't. And the part of what motivates me into doing this so frequently, and to where even now, like even after a few days, here I am again finding my other channel that barely has any subscribers. And yeah, I'm still willing to come over here and do this because what I'm trying to do is get us out of this crappy physical reality that they've put us into, where they want us arguing, where they want us all at each other's throats. They want us all harvesting each other. They want us all looking at each other as just a big dollar sign instead of just as, like, what really is it that motivates us, folks? That's not what it is for me. All I really care about in life is just being able to, all I really wanted to do, honestly, was just have the basics, you know. There's a song that they say, all I want is four walls and adobe slats. Like I just for my family, for me and my girls, like them and their daughters. That's what they wanted, and that's all I've ever wanted was, something that simple. I didn't really want a lot of, you know, it didn't matter to me. And what brings things into physical reality that we want is to not allow their news cycle, their their repeated attacks on our spirituality that includes what makes us whole. The things that we value, like meeting together to pray and to meditate, which they are attacking, folks. Something I need folks to understand, those of you who I used to take a very, like, that's not happening. Stop it, you guys. You act like everybody's attacking your right to go to church and everything. Oh, be quiet. Well, you know what? Maybe it was and maybe it wasn't true back then. I don't know. But I can tell you that it's definitely true now. And I see it happening to groups of all types. It's really not even exclusive to Christianity. I saw them aggressively doing it to the Jewish community too, in New York especially. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they would be so ballsy as to really aggressively prevent them from congregating in their synagogues and doing some pretty relevant festivals and religious rites that I think involved more group meditation and being outdoors, even if they were following, standards, I guess, which, again, then at the same time, people that were doing things that were more social justice oriented, called protests that often transitioned into riots, they were being given special privileges that a person that really just wanted to pray or meditate was not being given. And then it really did occur to me the attack on spirituality overall and what that translates to. Spirituality really is at its fundamentals, and religion and faith, and when we practice it together, we are, in fact, I've learned this, you guys. I really have, because I didn't believe in anything, and it turned me into a person that became a believer in all of it simultaneously, not because I necessarily believe in what was written originally, but because I believe that everybody who believes in it has brought it into manifestation, into physical reality, because they all focused on the characters and concentrated on in repetition. And it occurred to me because I found the evidence of it through my own name. I would see again in Islam them having the Gabriel deliver the black stone to the Kaaba, which they circle 7 times in Mecca, and then Gabriel delivers the news of Jesus to the, the manger. And Gabe has significance within Egyptian mythos as Geb, Geb. And all of them I was finding had correlations and parallels to something, but it wasn't because it's me. It's not like that. I'm not saying that I was brought into physical reality. I'm not that delusional, guys. It's not like that. But here's what's going to happen, because all these people are doing right now is dark energy manipulation. So the reason why things are getting so weird right now, I hypothesize, is because of this dark energy manipulation. But see, for every cause, there's an effect, every action, reaction. So whenever they try to do something to sort of like darkly toxify us using the same ethos, there's this reversal to it, you know. How do I say it? It's that snaps back on them. They can't have it. It's just karma. They really can't continue just to go pound, 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 pound without something going back. You see what I'm saying? On some level, and this occurs with their deception and what they're trying to hammer into us, into the metaphysical that we bring into physical reality for them. So what I'm trying to really encourage right now, both in myself and others, is to really, really focus and concentrate on what we want to do. What do we want to manifest? Yeah, we can sit here and talk all day long about how the news is fake, but then yet it's almost like if I don't acknowledge that one of the very many fake narratives that they've put out there for us, if your favorite fake one I don't acknowledge, sometimes I've noticed that a lot of people get pissed off at me, and I kind of go like, well, it's just because I'm trying to get us all to leave it behind to begin with. I don't really think that we should be doing a lot of the discussing a lot of stories that we believe are fake. And then I don't really want to spend my time in my life being the guy that's constantly telling you, like, see, I would just rather teach you the puzzles. I'd rather teach you the codes and the ciphers and the cryptograms as a theology and as a schooling. And then you're going to see it all on your own. And I don't even have to go there. I'd much rather you just begin to learn the three ring ciphers on your own. You learn to look at a cryptogram and go, oh, I see that. You learn to look at a mockingbird reporter's name and bridge the middle three letters, bridge the last letter of the first name, bridge the middle letter of the middle initial, and then bridge the first letter of the middle, the last name. You'll always, mockingbird journalists always have these little codes. And it's just funny that so many people that acknowledge these things, whether they're esoteric things or that there is such a thing as a mockingbird journalist, but they'll always be like, I didn't see that. You don't see this? You didn't see that? Like one of the guys that was making up stories about Russia paying Taliban to kill Americans, his name was Charlie Savage. He didn't go by Charles. He made sure to go by Charlie. Charlie Savage. Charlies. Charlies. Lies. Lies. Hey, it's too bad I can't play music. I feel like doing some Thompson Twins. Lies, 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 yeah. Ding, 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 lies, 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 yeah. Let's do a better one, actually. You know, oh my God, dude, they did have some nice songs. It just occurred to me the Thompson Twins weren't always those abrasive songs like Lies, Lies, Lies. They also had Hold Me Now. Hold me now. Oh, hold my heart. Stay with me, oh honey, stay with me. Sorry, that one I have to croon because I haven't really practiced it, so I have to do it all like croony croony. Let love in start, let love in start. I think that's how the lyrics go. Oh, hold me now. Oh, hold my heart. Music interlude, musical break there. We've been going for 40 minutes with no music or impersonations that I'm aware of, so it had to be done at least once. Otherwise, how would you know it's the real Gabriel Cruz mirror channel? It could be anybody using face masking. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. It wasn't that good, though. If you didn't see it, I should show you my Frankie Valley because I'm happier with that one. I did Grease earlier and posted it because I was like, whatever it's going to take to get more subscribers into my mirror channel, I'll start posting some exclusive material there. And if it takes singing Grease theme song to do it, I will do it. I'll even do it here again. I'm not sure I'll do Thompson Twins though. What's the other Thompson Twins song? There's Lies, 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 Hold Me Now, and there's another really iconic one too. Oh, Thompson Twins. That's relevant for so many reasons, but I don't want to go there right now. Oy, oy, oy. Okay. Let me think here. I got to get my topic list out here, folks, because I'm starting to deviate from my core themes here, and I'm realizing that if I don't get back on topic, I'll right here. You know what? Okay, the Trinity of Human Energy campaign. We are the new media. See, I'm not even getting to the core points here. I've just been kind of babbling, but I am talking about these things. So I am pretty much, I talked about my main channel, suspension. Okay, cool. So yeah, guys, what I'm telling you is that I have literally weeks of material that are on my main channel that it's now kind of at a point where you understand what they're doing within this censorship realm. Is if I say something that's controversial at all remotely going forward on the other main channel, they could completely delete that channel, which I've spent 5 years working to accumulate and generate revenue on. As it stands, guys, they have me on strike too, and they're telling me that if I get anything else, that it's done. They'll cancel my channel. And my gut tells me, based on the things that they've been doing, is like they've been just finding reasons. I mean, again, there's things that I'm not even doing them that they're tagging me for. And I have to be serious about what I'm going to do next, guys, as far as practicing something relative to this biowell concept, which I really feel like that's the way to go. I think what we need to be doing is like potentially a more serious documentary series that's beyond YouTube, something that YouTube can't F with. That, perhaps we can do web series that are safe for YouTube type content, but it'll lead to something bigger, or to perhaps even just maybe beginning to start a new media series, or a new media web organization, or perhaps see what we can merge and do. That if there's others that have something that's compelling and interesting that they're already working on, that a group of us feel like we want to all work together on. I mean, again, power in numbers, and if you can find people that are at least similarly enough aligned in getting the truth and getting to the truth, even if they have some differences. That's all I personally care about. I don't have to be in agreement with everything. But although I will say that I do completely reject all forms of any type of fake woke politics or any of that. I mean, if anybody's in that realm, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. I'm sorry, I'd be like, you have plenty of places, so no, you're not welcome. But you know what I'm saying? Like do we need more? So no, I'm not interested in that. But there can be variations on our perspectives and everything like that. We don't have to be like completely consistent upon all of our beliefs. But I just, like, me starting up a website independently, I can't afford the monthly cost, guys. I mean, I'm struggling with the basics as it is. So what I like to do is just get a more meaningful thing going on, where this biowell concept is really fascinating. And the more we can find situations where clusters of us can work together, the better. I have ideas in different regions. Yeah. Good point, Lisa. Wake, not woke. But I have all these different ideas about how things that we can do in different regions that are pretty compelling, that make life energy concepts really entertaining and fun to learn. And I have a larger idea for something similar to what they've done over in parts of Russia and Europe and other parts of the world in general, India. I mean, all over the world, folks, where they accept that a biofield exists and that human energy concepts are not mocked or made fun of. They're actually understood and people get it. They understand blood groups relative to biofields, all of it. It's really trippy how little we know in the West relative to other countries. And so what I'm thinking is that what we have to do is get something going in America that is very compelling, that draws in a lot of different people. So I have ideas. I don't want to say too much about what those are already. I've already talked a lot about things I have to do relative to human energy concepts that are compelling and marketable and everything else like that. But but I would really like to do a series where, and I'm looking for people that are interested in doing this, because I think it's something that if we shoot it in a way that's professional, it'll actually be really compelling. It'll show people that there's energy fields in these different areas, and it'll kind of help, I think, kickstart getting more business going in relative to it. I'm first and foremost concerned with the integrity of the data. So it's not necessarily about business. It's just that, guys, I'm trying to find ways where I'm not here looking for contributors or partners constantly. I want to be firm and settled in having some degree of partnership with certain people, the ones that are qualified and are willing and capable, so that we can focus on things that are just more metaphysical in nature, so that we define what becomes physical reality. That's what it amounts to. This is our spiritual battle. Those of us who understand that that's what it amounts to, that we don't have to accept what vibrates through us and that it projects outwardly, it doesn't really work that way. That's just half the picture. Yes, we receive some degree of our projection within the 3D reality through earth resonance that moves outbound through our pineal gland and through all the different parts of our body, and then external from this physical body, getting the trinity of human energies. Yeah, part of that is through earth resonance, but then there's the other part, folks, that this is where I think this is really answering scientifically free will, the question of free will. Where does it begin? Where does it end? What is the collective consciousness, the hive mind, versus what you independently have going on? And so I think that within the collective hive mind, that those of us who've kind of figured out what the building blocks of that are, which is this universal plasma field, then you begin to really get, and I really appreciate, some people have been sending me some things lately that do help me understand this better, that we must be focusing on what we want to vibrate into resonance, especially if you understand that everything is frequency, vibration, and energy. And see, this is one of the reasons so why I also make appeals to others to say that, like, it helps me to have partners that help me do that. It helps me to be in places where it's easier to do that, and I'm doing work that's spiritually uplifting both for myself and for others. And so all I ever ask people is, what is the meaning of that? And do you want to be a part of it? Because that's something I would like to do. I have ideas on how to do like bioenergy, like vacations and tours, potentially for the future. Limited, small group tours, something that could be COVID proof, that you could still do. And people could just do, again, it's something where you could find out how your biofield changes when you go from location to location. And you're also getting to see some really cool locations. That's all. And so that's one idea that I had. And because I've been doing research at a lot of these places, I would like to just sort of like maybe a trial on that somehow, if folks are interested in doing that. And that might be a way for folks to feel like, if they're funding something, that they're at least getting something out of it. And then I'm getting something out of it, because here's the thing I'm thinking is that I get research topics, which I need right now. I really need to have more research topics, and locations to research. And I need to have people to research relative to locations to see how their biofields change. This is important because I need this just for my future relative to success with being able to actually do things with the camera in a more meaningful way for income. Not to be whatever. It has zero to do with greed, folks. It's just that I try to integrate as many things into my life that make me feel fulfilled, that I can also earn from. And this camera, once I understood that it actually works and it's going to prove a lot of things I'm talking about, then yeah, I got super excited about it. And then I really wanted to be like, learn everything about it and get certified and everything else like that. But all those things require funding and resources and a little bit of stability that I'm lacking currently. And the reason why I'm reaching out to folks is that because I have 20 years of radio frequency experience, and that it'd be a shame for that to all go to waste, because I'm kind of showing people how a person that came from a background that built 75 towers in the Northwest, how it was in my understanding of one in particular that I built in Wallowa Lake. This is such a compelling story, and I wish people understood what a great documentary type series this could be, because it's true. This actually freaking happened to me, ladies and gentlemen. I built a tower in Wallowa Lake. And it is through this strange series of the bioenergy things that I learned that there's something that exists in the metaphysical, that yes, thoughts become things, that I learned through this love frequency, through focusing on a love frequency. Again, it was bizarre how it all manifested. Literally, the lines began to form. Energy lines would form through this thoughts become things energy connection. The locations where I was born relative to where these other meaningful things happen, lining up at intervals of 33 degrees. I just learned that reality isn't what I thought it was. It's not as simple as just what I thought. And then I had to understand subtle energy fields better, because then it made sense to me finally that, wait, the cell towers that I built transmit data that's invisible straight to a cell phone, and then it projects an image onto your cell phone. Subtle energy is doing the same thing within our reality, except the projection is occurring in here. It's just like when you get the YouTube clip sent to your cell phone, but it's going to your pineal gland. Input, output, transmit, receive, person to person, biofield to brain to earth resonance, and then up, down, transmit, receive, transmit, receive, transmit, receive, heart signal, heart signal, heart signal, heart signal, crown chakra, collective hive mind, crown chakra, collective hive mind. Earth resonance arches the feet, earth resonance arches the feet. And all of these have associated frequencies and signals with them. Sorry, I don't have more visuals here, folks. You know, but I would. I actually do. I mean, this is something that I also want to do. But what I'm really trying to do is get it to the point where we have just something really cool that a person can go to in a location like a learning center, similar to what they've done in these other countries, and just understand that there's way more than just physical reality as you know it. You've only been given 2/3 of the puzzle. They tell you about your skeleton. They tell you about this face we got here, but they act like everything that extends from it is just simply imaginations. And yes, but imaginations is part of what brings this into physical reality. If you don't believe me, let me put it this way. Do you ever notice how a person that almost seems like, why do some people maintain their looks for so long in some cases? And they almost always have these personalities where it's like their personalities defy the aging process. And that's what I've kind of learned about how that works, is that the people that don't let all of these things impact them, they literally it manifests into their physical reality. They learn to let it all bounce off of them. How they do it, it's not something that I really learned the secret to until just recently, because it was kicking my ass. It was really beating me up. I'm letting you know, man. I can show you the pictures of me before, like about 2 years ago, when I was about 30, 40 pounds lighter than I am now. Pretty close to that, about 30. Maybe it wasn't quite that dramatic, but I'm probably about, I don't know what I'm at right now. Probably, I know I got to be about 200. So no, it wasn't 30 or 40. It was about 30 pounds at the most. The point was, though, I was a lot skinnier. You could see my rib cage, and my gut was kind of sunken in, and I'd had a lot of my plasma aggressively taken out of my bioplasma that I learned exists, because it does help you form your physical reality. And if you think about it, what your bioplasma is, okay, I want you to really think about what I'm telling you here is the same way. I want you to think about your skeletal structure as like the third layer that vibrates down. from the biofield. And you don't have to perceive it as something that vibrated into resonance from inside. It was a shared process, and you no longer have to believe that it was as simple as that. Part of what manifested you into physical reality and vibrated you into resonance within your mother's belly also came from the biofield, also came from what they call in some of these research studies I've read, they call that the bio-internet, if I'm understood. I don't know if I'm making a correct correlation between what they call the bio-internet and the collective consciousness or not. So I don't want to make that association yet without understanding it better. But since we do kind of exist in a 3D projection that is formed this way through the plasma field that vibrates everything into resonance, then it really is a matter of what do we now decide, those of us who have the most influence over the plasma layer, what do we want to do with it? Because what we do now matters exponentially. It does. It really does, man. Like right now, we don't have a functioning government, really. And this is the message that's been put to me. And this is something I need people to kind of pay attention to who really get what I'm talking about. The bridges are not in place entirely to get done what need to be get done in every case. In many cases, guys, we've done enormous amounts of work. Those of you who have supported me, especially, thank you. We've done actually quite a bit of the bridge building that actually did create some pretty significant, a lot of the work that I did on the coast, for example, that was done with the help of others. Recently, where the rainbows were following, then I went all the way to the coast and everything, like that was significant. And that was part of it. But here's the thing about the military, just to get into the more physical reality issues that are going on right now. You must know that it's not simple. It's not cut and dry what they're trying to achieve right now. Here's our issue. Presidents come and go, budgets get changed. Every 4 freaking years, things change. Now I get it, guys. People understand there's certain things that have to stay static. So it's not like every time a president changes, a policy changes that's relevant to national security. Yet, on some level, it has become so highly politicized that, yeah, there's times where projects that within defense budgets that should be more active or should be more supported, just simply because of who's in charge, it doesn't get the right kind of support. And so we were making some pretty significant progress when Trump was in office, to be blunt. He was friendlier to it. He, part of what we're talking about, his whole campaign about fake news is exactly what I'm telling you about. When he says fake news, here's what I would like you to just perceive it as. Stop thinking about him and his persona and just zoom out from it a little bit and just look at it for what it truly is. That term really translates to that these people are straight up looking you in the face and saying, hey, we know you kind of know that this is all a bunch of shit, that it's not really going on. And you know that a lot of these people are crisis actors and that a lot of these names and these stories are fake and there's tons of numerology and everything else like that. But what other choice you got? What other choice you got? Where else are you going to go? Who are you going to talk to if you don't talk about what we tell you to talk about? And they're all doing it. I don't care which one you watch. CNN? Is it better than Fox? I don't know, kind of. No, not really. Actually, that's absolutely not true. Fox is definitely better than CNN. I never thought I would have said that years ago, but yeah, I would definitely say that today because they just have a few more tolerable personalities. That's all I'm going to say. There's just more people that I can actually stomach on that channel. And they got rid of a lot of the ones that made me kind of like annoyed. So I was kind of like, hey, way to go, guys. See, because that's kind of the etheric bridges that need to occur a little bit. You've got to find ways to like bridge the gap because people that are stuck in a left-right paradigm that haven't figured this out yet, that it doesn't really exist. It doesn't. And you know, I don't even mean to get into the discussion, folks, about this, because what I mean to say is that we have to abandon it mostly altogether and leave that news cycle behind, and then just decide, what are we going to talk about? What is relevant to us? And then when we talk about what we're going to talk about, do we really only talk about what they did to us, or what they've already done, or what they're going to do? Or is that just helping manifest it into physical reality? Is it not? Because I go through this over and over again. How do I keep from talking about it when they're just so good at hoodwinking everybody into making it happen? But then how much am I contributing to vibrating to physical reality if I'm returning to the topics? I don't want to. You understand that? I hope that we're all there. I hope we're all at the point where we're saying, like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want this to be my daily news cycle. I'm sick of it. I know we have better things to talk about. There's better things we can be doing. There's better things that we can be manifesting into reality if we know what we're doing. So that's what I'm saying, folks. Like, let's do that, okay? And I think that there's ways that if we really just get a good base, okay, I think that if we can just reach out to just a few people who are doing this extremely well and get it and have sharp minds, that and quality, man, like really super, super, super quality. I mean, like, have to get this down to like perfection. And if we can get those kind of partners and really form a quality organization that, yeah, folks, we can't ignore everything that goes on within physical reality. So what we must do is dissect all the pieces of physical reality that we understand are nonsense in a way where it's dissected, one and done. Just like, okay, everybody, here's what we're gonna do. That story, I'm dissecting it now. Are we done? Cool. We're not going to return to this constantly. Done? Great. Okay, cool. And then we had to do this in a work environment, I'm letting you know, because otherwise you would always return to topics that didn't serve the project meeting, and you weren't actually getting things done. You weren't actually bringing you weren't getting your projects done, because you're like, well, yeah, like, it really pissed me off, that last project that we worked on, because it didn't work out the way it was supposed to. And it's like, yeah, I know, dude, but this is the project called to talk about future projects. Yeah, okay, but remember that time, that last one, it didn't really work out that well. It's like, we can't do that to ourselves. I do it to myself, okay? Um, and so what I'm saying is that what I'm trying to do then now is I would like to form some media that's meaningful, that will achieve something that I'm trying to do for myself personally, yes, but will show everybody around how much environment affects the individual and the individual affects the environment, and how much our biofields impact one another, and how much I want to prove this trinity of human energy in a visually impactful way in the process of writing a book regarding this. And I'm kind of just like that. It's just that now that I got the gear, folks, I'm laughing because I'm just like, seriously, you guys, this is so obvious what you're doing. Like, you really had to do it just now. I just completed this training. I got this thing going. I pretty much got this thing down to an art. I really got the flow going with everything. Really? Yeah, Gabe. Crappy biofield. Stop it, Gabe. Stop it. Stop it. I'm going to stomp your corona down, Gabe. I'm crushing your corona. Crush, crush. I'm crushing your corona. He's like that Kids in the Hall character. Remember that guy? I'm crushing your head. Crush, 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 crush. Oh, you're a banker. Look at you. Oh, you're so self-confident. Crush, crush. You ever see that character? He hates bankers, and he sits out in front of this bank. and he's like going, I'm crushing your head. Crush, crush. I crush your head. I actually saw those guys live, just so you know. I saw them in Portland, Oregon, at the Schnitzer Hall. A great place to see a comedy show, I have to tell you. It's actually a great venue to see live comedy, believe it or not, if you can get pretty close. Anyways, off topic, but yeah, there's some pretty classic skits on that show, so it's just I'm a fan of the skit comedy, so. All right. But yeah, the trinity of human energy, though. So what I'm trying to do then is I kind of like to show people a lot of the things visually that have been demonstrated in some of the researchers. Like it's happened to me, guys. Like when I'm reading the research papers of the folks that are over there in Europe and Russia and things, Japan, it's like I've experienced it here in the States, guys. The magic isn't happening everywhere else. We have it right here, and we have the cool locations here. We have the pyramids here. They're just not being acknowledged, guys. We have a Stonehenge here that like everybody calls one that's like in a whole different part of the country, and maybe it's because it's a more natural one and ours is man-made and like it doesn't exist or what, I don't know. But they're all relevant. I don't care if it was built I don't care if it was built 10 years ago, if it was built 200 years ago. How was it built? Who built it? What was the purpose of it? What's going on underneath it? What does it do energetically? That's what matters. Tina mentions the Georgia Guidestones. I mean, what does the Georgia Guidestones do? I mean, seriously, Tina, let's talk about that. Wouldn't you like to know what the energy is like over there? Wouldn't you want to know that every time, like if you go up close to it, does it have a dark orgone signature? Is there something there where there's been so many people that have visited the Georgia Guidestones and were so fearful of it? Did they empty their fear into the soil? And is Georgia Guidestones acting as a collector of said fear? I want you to think this through a little bit. Why do people inspire fear? Let alone why do they inspire love? What's the point of it? Why would you even like invest a lot of energy to doing either? There must be some benefits from it once you feel it. Because I can tell you, me personally, when I'm spreading like, things that are more loving in nature and I'm being nicer, it feels better. I don't like being angry, guys. I really don't. It never brings me any pleasure to tell somebody off or to like, catch a negative action or anything like that. I'm really not into it. I don't like to even like be excessively exposed to it. And this is one of the reasons why I was trying to make appeals, for what are we trying to do in the future, right? Personally, I've spent years trying to master my human machine doing energy balancing with what I understand about my plasma field and my human body, what I have as far as materials in my blood relative to what it's alchemy, folks, and you can accept it or not. But there's science to this form of alchemy because you have metals inside your blood, there's metals inside the soil, and other people within society have their own unique combinations of metals within every single race. It's what gives you the complexion of skin you have. So even if a whole bunch of us are Rh negative and O blood type, you'll notice that a bunch of us are also different complected and oftentimes have different races, whatever blood groups we're in, right? Why would you have a person? I mean, if it's really that whatever, how come there's so many that would have different races but also have that type of blood inside? Because there's something else going on. So once you really get that we're being vibrated into resonance, and that's just another part of it, that what brings us to our racial features, our ethnicity is really, that's all it is. It's the way we vibrate into resonance. When you really think about that, then nearly everything race related becomes irrelevant to you. You personally begin to just like leave it all behind. And I was a person that was kind of almost obsessed with race politics, I would say, for a good portion of my life. Obsessed, maybe not a good term, but heavily interested in it to the point where I would say it probably occupied more of my time than it should have. I was um, I was very interested in examining it for many, many years. It played kind of a heavy part in influencing my um, a lot of things that happened to me growing up because I went from living in the city in Seattle to living in Eastern Washington near the Hanford Nuclear Reservation in 1985, and I was about 10 years old about that time. And it 10 going on 11, pretty close to 11. And I was in a pretty, I mean, look, it's not like Seattle's diverse, but it's the city. You're closer to the city. And so people in Seattle, just even if it's a pretty, mostly white culture, they still have access to a multi-ethnic range of experiences and of the people from those groups. There's enough of them within the city of Seattle to where you're not, especially like my father worked for the Department of Refugee Services when I was a kid. So I definitely had exposure to a lot of different ethnicities and got to know a lot of different groups of people growing up. And so I think it informed a little bit of my personal, like, maybe over concentration on race. Because once I went over to the Hanford Nuclear Reservation, I was physically changing quite a bit, probably because I was 10, 11 years old and, going through all that. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of things were changing with my skin complexion and my hair color. And I was going from having like auburn, more like an auburn dark hair to like a black hair. And my skin was just getting like black, dark. Like it was really weird how dark I was getting over there. I mean, like way darker than I am today. And because I've been getting more sun lately, but back then, yeah, I could get into a much darker complexion. So I've always kind of wondered about, what really makes those things what they are. How does one person get one way versus the other? But anyways, guys, I'm not trying to be boring here. I apologize. I just don't care that much now. And I think that what really solidified it and why I'm more focused on energy and human biofields instead of race, I'm way more focused on what's going on with our biofields because that's what manifests things into physical reality. Focusing on race to me is a little bit like staying anchored in physical reality. Being obsessed with it has the same effect as being obsessed with the news, being obsessed with race. And again, that's another part of what I've noticed is this like trying to get me to focus more on it right now or think more about it. And I'm not trying to, like, I don't want to. And I think they want all of us because they want us in a chessboard mentality. They literally want us to perceive colors just like the chessboard. Well, there's two sides, ladies and gentlemen. And, within a duality world where it's all being pushed around by dark orgone, it's black versus white. And, you better pick a side. So white folks, if you want to be spared, then you're just going to have to pick side of the black side, I guess. It's a little bit like that. And where these people are all in this, like, I'm what? I'm doing what? Wait, what do you mean sides? I don't feel like I'm on a side. Wait, what's happening to my brain? Well, this is what's happening, folks. There's a psychotronic generator type system that's going on there that's affecting behavior. Those of us who understand what's going on in America right now, we really do have to understand that the military is only so functional in helping us, and we have to, as citizens, provide a bridge for them. I believe this, and I've been given this as intuitive communication lately, that yes, we've done significant work, and there's a lot of people that are very, very happy about what I've done and what others have done, and especially what others have done with me, because you've helped me a lot. But here's the thing. I need you to think pragmatically about what we're really dealing with here. At an official level, people that are on the inside within the military could start out where a project gets budgeted for once Trump gets in and he gets rid of all this red tape, he can say like, okay, let's get that funded again because they took it out of commission for 8 years when Obama was here. Let's get this secret. There's things that are going on, folks. So what can I tell you? That they probably tried to dismantle during the Barry administration. And we now, those of us who kind of understand the damage that's been done, part of our job is to create, I guess you could say, the gateway between what'll bring. You have to think about what they're doing right now. They're destabilizing our government in ways that are nearly irreversible. And they're destabilizing our frontline police officers. They're destabilizing pretty much all of our law enforcement to where they want things to be kind of lawless in the street. And then this is putting the military in a position now where what? You see, folks, here's what I'm going to warn the people that are, this is just because I want those who are helping me also to understand that safety is not really a concern for us. And here's why. What they're doing right now is pushing more people into the private sector where they're going to be going to things like private military corporations, PMCs, because more things are going to wind up becoming privatized when hits the fan, which, given the way that it's being managed right now, it's a near certainty that something will happen. And again, I don't want it to. What I'm trying to do is get to the point where we can wake people up, and that never has to happen. But you have to be realistic about what's going on right now, that some of the people that are out in the streets, they're pushing this faux social justice element right now. I need everybody to understand this. I don't care where you come from ideologically. Remember, guys, 2016, I voted for Jill Stein. But let me tell you something. I laughed my ass off when I saw Donald Trump playing "You Can't Always Get What You Want" by Rolling Stones when Hillary lost. And I'll tell you why. Because I kind of said to myself, you effed up, Dems, and all you people that follow the Dems. Why? Why didn't you just get rid of this toxic, poisonous, garbage group of people that make us all look bad? Why didn't you just get rid of them? Because you know that it's not us. Any more than when you look at those other people, that what they're trying to project as that other side. They're not even the other side. They're other Americans. They're all here with us. And they're not thinking that radically than you guys. I don't want to get into politics right now. The point is, budgets come and go. The military gets cut off from doing things that maybe they had authorization to do before, then they can't anymore. Then suddenly things change, dynamics change, programs change. And you're noticing the signs of it, folks. In social media, some things nearly disappeared as soon as administrations switched from one to the next. Why? How? Who was doing it to begin with? Why did certain characters that were heavy in social media suddenly disappear? I don't want to mention their names because they get my channel canceled. But you see where I'm going with this? Like, why do these things, I'm concerned I'm doing the thing that I'm talking about doing. So I'm not doing so. Let me get back into it. What is it going to take to get us there, folks? How do we get to the next place? We need to create a good bridge for people that are veterans to where we can create a bridge for them to be employable. And then I think we need to get like a company where we can get more vets that are employable, that have the right level of expertise relative to what we want to form as an overall structure, because we need people in a media organization that have that level of expertise, but that also kind of get the metaphysical aspect. And again, folks, they've kept this knowledge concealed from us, and they make it very foo-foo and new age for the people that need to learn it, so that people that have more of the warrior class instincts, some of the ones that went through some of that more frontline training where they're just more taught to be physical, they're not trained to be metaphysical. They're not trained that way. And so it's important that we kind of create some bridges, I think, within the civilian population for those folks, to where they have some options that are appealing to go to that aren't run by these same places. And that then, because I want them to have pathways for a place to go. There's people that are in the telecommunications industry. There's people that are in the information systems and information technology industry. They would like to do something better, I think. They would like to have better places to go. And I really, personally, I just see that there's opportunities based on some of things that I just know from my past, people I've known from my past, things I've encountered, is that there's so many different things that need to occur before we can really get the mass exodus that we kind of need to get away from for the MK Ultra exodus. You need a bit of an exodus of certain people away from certain positions or lifestyles that are helping bring the negative aspects into physical reality, because they don't have other options. I was one of those people. I was going to continue building towers, optimizing towers, and working with towers, and never understanding these energy concepts if I stayed in the wireless industry. But let me explain something to you. Me leaving it and learning it the way that I did the last 5 years is highly unappealing to the average wireless industry worker. And nobody hardly out there has made that any more appealing for them. What do I mean by that, guys? Well, as a whistleblower of a lot of these types of things, quite a few people, whether they were good intended or bad intended within that issue, they just went out of their way to make my life personally as a whistleblower. A lot of them just made it more difficult. They weren't. It's just bizarre, guys. Like they treat you like you're a freaking like you're running a TV show or you're an entertainer or something like that. And I'm like going, look, if I sing songs or do impersonations for you, it's just because I'm a human being and I don't want this to be completely sad constantly. I don't want us to be like all drugged down. Again, I do that for my friends. I'd be like, yeah, okay, this is a drag. Let's tell some jokes or something, or let's watch a movie really quick, or let's sing some songs for a while, or listen to some relaxing music, or let's meditate, whatever. I don't care. Let's go for a walk. But let's not stay stuck in this mentality. We've got to get out of it for a little bit. And you have to learn to do that for yourself. You got to learn to do that for others. You have to be good to yourself and good to others that way. You don't want to stay anchored in these ideologies and these ways of thinking for too long, because again, that's the whole point. The whole point of anchors, the whole point of having so much access to our perceptions is to keep us there. You ever notice that? Again, it's wise to not have a Twitter profile, but again, you cut yourself off from so much in social media. So I'm trying to find that happy balance between how do I maintain these sort of social media things that are still a little bit anchored in that sort of dramatic physical reality, and then trying to bridge, like reach out. Like do the whatever that is, the ladder. Reach out with my hand and say, how many people can I bring out here? But I have to have the ability. You see, I have the personality. I just don't always have the resources available to me, And so again, I'm not asking for a lot of people just to say like, trust me with your resources and trust me with what you have or something like that. What I'm really looking for is to be, number one, I like it. I would prefer to be vetted. I like that people would want to, and I'm okay with it. That way that we can establish trust if that's any issues with folks that are out there. And then I want us just to be able to, from then, just establish some parameters for just getting to the truth within what we do as media organizations. This is where I'm trying to talk about a new media within the realm of the Trinity of human energies. So we are that new media because what we discuss brings things into physical reality. What we think about, what we focus on, what we concentrate on brings things into physical reality. So why does the media lie to us instead of just report what's happening? That's the thing. Like, that's why that president was like so damning to people. Again, it's not a political thing. It's just what was really threatening to the status quo about the guy. It's why they attacked him so aggressively and continue to try to delete his entire life from the internet. It's bizarre. But you must raise an eyebrow when you see somebody being deleted that aggressively. And I don't care if you like them or not, guys. You've got to pay attention when you see something like that and step in and say, like, you guys, you can't do that. I was a Jill Stein voter, guys. I felt compelled to do it from the minute that guy took office. Because it was just so brute force. I could just tell something was wrong. And that's when this whole metaphysical, physical thing, I think I began to see the building blocks of it right then, that this is how what's called mass resonance manipulation works. This is how structural psychology works. This is how they get people to bring what they want to bring into reality. And they get us all convinced of a death cycle. Death. It's all bad. It's all war. Right? You turn on the channel. They're telling you. Project Veritas just caught, CNN straight up telling people. It's weird how bad these people are. It's like they all just want to, I don't know, guys. They're straight up just saying it. They're just telling you that they're trying to scare the crap out of you. And these are your leaders. These are the people that are in charge of your media organizations. And then still, We say to one another that it somehow legitimizes something because we saw it on a major network, or it somehow legitimizes something when we see it on one of the cable news channels. It's almost like I don't exist until you see me on what? Fox News or MSNBC or CNN. That's when you'll know that Gabe is relevant. Is that how it works though? Because that's kind of how it's working now. And I'm asking you why that might be. If you know, right, if you've accepted that CNN is a lie, why would it even be impressive anymore for somebody that you would normally not expect to see on that channel suddenly on there? And why would that legitimize them? Like if there was an alt media character that was here that you said like, oh, dude, they're on CNN now. So, hey, they got forced to talk about it. I would say that before too, but I don't say that anymore now. Now I just say like, oh, okay, now it's part 2 of reinforcing the nonsense physical reality. They primed the pump with alt media. Now here comes the MSM to just hammer that last bit of the nail in to the board to solidify the belief. They're just working on it from 2 different sides now. Sometimes they vibrate into resonance from the alt media, and sometimes they push it into resonance from the mainstream media. You can almost look at it like the alt media has taken the place of Earth resonance, and the mainstream media has taken the place of the collective consciousness biofield. And so that we're forming our opinions based on what an alt media character says is, oh, well, they have low amounts of subscribers, so I might be able to trust them because, hey, that mainstream media always lies, right? But if it's all owned by the same places and going back to the same thing, then it's all lying to you. And it's bringing the same lies into physical and metaphysical resonance and getting us to partake in it. This is why I say we are the new media. So let's take ownership over our beliefs. Let's take ownership. Let's take ownership over our beliefs. And you don't have to believe everything. You can appreciate that something's half true and appreciate the part that is, or that maybe somebody's misperceived, without damning them. Hey, you know what? I don't think that they're entirely right, but I do like this part here. And I think that that's something that I can appreciate. I see where their mind's going with that, or. But yeah, we don't have to accept everything because it's all being vibrated into resonance via frequency, vibration, energy. I know that's saying vibration twice, but it's all frequency, vibration, energy. And instead of you just like looking at this as something that you have to accept, why don't you look at it more like you're a little bit more like Mickey Mouse and Fantasia, but don't get too reckless. You can actually do that. Your thoughts do become things. What you focus on do manifest, and what we all focus on manifests into physical reality. So when I say we are the new media, what do we want to do with it? I say we focus on the trinity of human energy. We talk about all of it. It's almost like I would say, to me, I feel like dissecting, if somebody even wants me to look at a regular news story, I would prefer to dissect it from the perspective of what is this news story attempting to vibrate into physical reality instead of this happened. Because that's way more accurate nowadays. What is this media organization attempting to vibrate into physical reality? If you can start thinking like that, then this will all make way more sense to you why we need to form a new media. Those of us who get it. Do you understand? Because within this new media, there's going to be all these people out there that are just like, it's going to be like, yes, I want to be a part of that. And you want it to be something where it's where people aspire to it. They want to achieve this level. There's something that they like, yeah, I take my material so seriously. Not, look, you got to be whatever, but that, that I have some integrity behind it, that I feel this strongly about it. But see, at the same time, we also have to accept that a lot of we also have to understand that a lot of the accepted ways of measuring are just bogus, or they don't exist, or they don't really quantify what we're discussing here appropriately. What do I mean by that? I mean to say, like, when I talk about vibrating something from the metaphysical into the physical, what does that really mean? And I don't want that to be a new age concept anymore. I am talking about creating a new type of media where I will, number one, at the core of this, explain what I'm discussing here. And I do think this is part of the bridge that's going to create an exodus of the workers and the talent that'll make this a much, much more meaningful project. But we have to get serious right now, because what they're doing in this country, it's limiting the movement of those who are in official level. So right now they're creating chill and freeze on all the people in government, all the people that are in law enforcement. You do not want to make a single mistake. You cannot risk doing anything, or else you may starve. Guys, we have to remember this. This was by design. This was by design. And so there's all these people out there. It's, again, like, I was really kind of hopeful there. Things are going pretty good. I got to be honest with you, when we had Trump in the office, for some of these things that were getting fixed that I know about. And it was benefiting a lot of those folks too. And there was just, I think, more openness to handling things. And I think bringing some of these projects that were in the background, defense projects, I think probably related to Stargate, to actually get the real data associated with them. There's a lot of bogus information that was managed by Science Applications International Corporation relative to the Stargate project. That's all about this, folks. I mean, it's the part of the reason why you see me go so aggressively towards that lab is because I really feel like they hid the building blocks of something really key that we needed to learn here in the United States. They hid it for themselves. And worse yet, they did negative things with it. And to me, it's pretty much like the worst sin, to do something negative with this. It really is. It's probably one of the worst things you can possibly do. And so, how do we fix what's going on right now? Well, those of us who have the ability, which is to say some of the Stargate type abilities, we have to train our minds to aggressively deal with stressful situations in ways where we can just sort of transmute it almost instantaneously. I'm going through something challenging right now, folks. I don't have a lot of reasons to be confident about the future, but I am. So why is that? Probably because I know something's going to work out. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I know things are going to be okay. But no, they're doing everything they can to completely beat down my spirit right now and make it think like it's all hopeless. And I'm just telling you that because, just to be frank with you, I'm not saying it boo-hoo, but yeah, it's aggressive. But you look at me. I've learned to be like this now in the worst of the worst circumstances, because when I was the other way, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Like, not a single answer arrives at you when you're saying, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It doesn't happen. But I'm telling you, meditation, it all happens. It all flows in. Meditation. Finding my alpha state. Literally, when I say that, I'm talking about the brainwave frequency, pretty close to 7 to 8 hertz. And then when you know that the earth resonance is about 7 to 8 hertz, you'll know why that's such an important frequency to achieve in your brain. And then that's another part I want to integrate into my research, is the brainwave EEG elements of it, to demonstrate to people that there really is a connection between thoughts become things, and that this translates to our news cycle. And so what this project that I would like to do involving the Trinity of Human Energy is, it accomplishes a lot of things simultaneously. It achieves that it creates an awareness about how we structure our reality and what we're contributing to by accepting the fake news cycle and not making better things happen, both in our own reality, for each other, for our country. That maybe if we took this on as like a personal mission, like ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, that includes thoughts become things. Don't let your thoughts become things say America sucks. Don't let your thoughts become things say that America is going to fail. Try not to let your mind get stuck in that cycle, because that's what they're working on. They want this news cycle to constantly reinforce that it's all doom and gloom and tragedy and irrecoverable. And it's just not the way. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen here because we have too many, there's too many things hinged on our success that have too many other group success hinged to it. Literally, it's just the way things are, guys. There's too many people that need us to succeed as a country, as a society, because of what we're connected to globally. It has nothing to do with our governance either. So please stop thinking that way. I'm not even saying it in any kind of selfish sense. It's not because like the United States of America must succeed over other countries and be competitive. It's not that even that kind of thing. It just means that at a DNA level, at a spiritual level, at a human family level, yes, America is just kind of connected globally to all kinds of people everywhere. That's why it's sort of a new Atlantis in and of itself. It's connected to the overall grid that creates what I guess you could say is a new Atlantis, which would be that what'll make that a reality is the energy that flows to all of these beacon locations globally. I understand this intrinsically now because I've seen the evidence of it. Go to Lake Mead. When you discover what I did about Lake Mead, Nevada, relative to the Altai pyramid with the wall structure that's shaped exactly like Lake Mead. I mean, they have a pyramid that's the three-sided pyramid shape in Russia, and then it's pointing, so the arrow goes like this. It's 15 degrees and it goes straight into Lake Mead, right to the center of Lake Mead in Nevada, exactly 5,400 nautical miles away from the center point of that pyramid. And, oh, that's a meme, guys. I'll explain that later. And to me, that was just such a remarkable thing about, what we exist in. That said a lot to me about how things do in fact vibrate into physical reality. Literally 25%, exactly 25%, tip to tip, point to point, from that pyramid to Lake Mead. Pyramid here. It's like literally, guys, if you learn that, that a hand held up here 25% around the world was flipped like that. That's exactly what it translates to. That if you see something shaped like this, like a mountain shaped like this, it'll be this shape 25% around the world. That's kind of what the discovery was at these certain intersection points. It's bizarre. I mean, but I'm trying to find a way to make it, because like I try to explain it to people because it is pretty miraculous, the discovery. But it's just like it's hard to get people to really grasp the miracle there and why that's such a cool thing that a pyramid turns into a lake exactly 25% across the world. To me, that just seems like, wow. I even I always look in here and go, I don't understand like why that's not a bigger deal. But I'm talking about getting this knowledge out in a way that's pretty meaningful, that'll help people understand everything that I'm saying. And then on top of it, we can, get into a deeper, what am I trying to say? Just a deeper metaphysical, what am I trying to say? We can just basically just get into a way, way more intrinsic understanding of what actually creates what we exist in daily instead of just accepting it. Sorry, I'm probably being a little bit long-winded trying to get down to that core point. Hang on here really quick. Sorry, I got to get my my thing here going really fast. I was going to play a video, but I'm thinking maybe now. Okay, sidestepping, suspensions, themes. Okay, memes. That's right. So somebody was asking about what is the Afghanistan thing. It's a joke. It's because Biden said something about Afghanistan. He's like, oh, it's Afghanistan. And so I thought it would be funny to create a meme, and I can show it to you guys if you just want me to explain my meme. It takes the fun out of it if I over explain it, but I don't want anybody to be offended by it. So if there's any questions, I'll make sure I explain it. So because it being offensive, definitely wasn't the intention. If that's the interpretation, hopefully not. But no, I was just trying to make a joke because those of you who might be familiar with the '80s band Depeche Mode, That's what it was in reference to. It was like kind of an inside joke to, hang on here. So the band Depeche Mode is has a couple different singers in it. For some strange reason, there it is. There it is. All right. So the band Depeche Mode has a couple different singers in it. One's Martin Gore and the other one is Dave Gahan. And so for some strange reason, the minute Joe Biden did his whole Afghanistan, I don't know, it just made me think of Dave Gahan. And so of he's got the voice that's a little bit deeper of the two. In of the two vocalists that do most of the vocals in Depeche Mode. So he's the one that sang "Personal Jesus." Those familiar with the more '80s, '90s era of Depeche Mode. And so I just thought it'd be funny, to make like a meme where we're in such a bizarre upside down universe that Joe Biden actually just decides to hand over Afghanistan to Skittles and have it led by Dave Gahan, and then it's going to be named Gahanistan, because you can reach out and touch taste, sponsored by Skittles. I'm not really a big fan of I'm not trying to advertise for anybody. To me, it's a very idiocracy meme is all. So I don't mean to over explain it, but to me, there was just a funny thing to do as part of a whatever. So anyways, that's why I did that. It was just a joke. Wasn't meant to be taken terribly seriously or whatever. It's just everybody's like going Afghanistan. So I swear Afghanistan. So I was kind of reach out and touch taste. Dave Gahan takes over. You can just see the commercials, can't you? Like we're getting that idiocracy with the way things are working. Dave Gahan is now president, sponsored by Skittles. Reach out and touch taste. Your own personal Jesus. Someone to hear your prayers. Someone who cares. Reach out and touch faith. That's Dave Gahan, in case you're wondering, those who are a little bit less knowledgeable about cool 80s bands. Just a quick little trivia for you, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen Depeche Mode live. Yes, it's true. I did actually get to hear them sing. People are people, so why should it be? You and I should get along so awfully. I'm not sure if they did People or not. They always do when they do live presentations. They frequently sing "Everything Counts." I think it's because it has something to do with the record industry. A handshake seals a contract, and from the contract, there's no turning back. The turning point in a career of being insincere. It's about dealing with the record industry. The grabbing hands grab all they can. Everything counts in large amounts. They always end with that song on their shows. I don't know if you know that. I have actually, you guys, you want to talk about what a relic of a human being I am? I have Depeche Mode laser discs in storage someplace. Yes, I do. I actually have, I'm old enough to have appreciated what a laser disc is and actually own some. So, that's my confession to you guys. If I look young to you, I'm sorry. I am actually pretty young, but but old enough to appreciate laser discs and have a substantial collection of them somewhere hidden away. All of you just, you just appreciate your freaking digital files and your DVDs so much, and you just forgot about what started it all. Laserdisc started it all, ladies and gentlemen. Those big, huge things that look like massive vinyl records, but they're shiny and silvery, and they're like, oh my god! And if the movie's over 2 hours, you have to flip it once and change the disc, and maybe even flip it again. I tell you, it's It really does wonders for the movie going experience, does it not? Laserdiscs. Yeah, Tina, but at least with your 45s, like um, you could finish the song without flipping it over. The thing about laser discs, like imagine like if you had like a song that was like a 10-minute long song, and the only way that you could complete it is by having a 45 record that it could only play 2.5 minutes of the entire 10-minute song. So you had to buy it with like a gatefold 45 that had the two records in it, side A, side B, side D, side C, side D. And then, you play the song, you're like, it's like that. That's Laserdisc in a nutshell. You have to basically stand. It's like, end of disc one. And you got to stand up. You go or eject the disc, flip it over, back in. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Then you get a nice, clear image. I will say this about Laserdisc, though. The audio is like second to none. I mean, it's really hard to find better audio on modern things. I'm sorry, man. Like the compression that exists on most of what exists now, I'm telling you, if you find a quality Japanese pressed Laserdisc and put it on one of the best quality Laserdisc players from back in the day, I know I'm really sounding like a relic now, but I'm just telling you, it's amazing. Okay. No, stop it. If you have a good player, they're amazing. Let me tell you, if the movie's less than 2 hours and your player has the laser that'll flip for you, it's nearly it's like it's not a big deal. The only problem is Laserdisc manufacturers are just like, oh my god, dude. The one that pissed me off the most, I had a Laserdisc of Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, and it flips in the middle of the worst scene possible. Like you would not believe it. It's like it's like mid dialogue, guys. It couldn't get any worse. I can't believe it. I wish I remembered the scene exactly where it was, but they split the movie up so precisely across two sides they didn't even think of a proper place to make it flip. There's no chapters or anything on the disc, and so it's literally like you see Tim Roth going. So I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, mother. End of side one. Curve. And why did he set up to me? I mean, really, like it literally like picks up halfway into his word and picks up it like the disc flips and he finishes the rest of it. It's like, oh, that's awful. Why did you make this side flip there? Why am I talking about Laserdiscs for 10 minutes? I'm sorry, folks. Hey, it's just one of those things that I know about. I really did like the clarity of the audio. I mean, especially when you were comparing back then, like DVDs were just coming out, and you could actually compare a Laserdisc's like soundtrack of like a Star Wars type movie to, a DVD. And I have to tell you, I think it sounded way better on Laserdisc. It did. I personally still think it does. Every time I hear one now, I think it sounds way better. But all right. We don't have to talk about that. That's all right. How many people I've already have a limited audience who's really going to be interested in Laserdiscs on top of all this other crap I'm talking about. But anyways, folks, a big theme of it is if you do not subscribe to this channel and you got here through Twitter, please subscribe to this channel. The other one could go down at any minute. If you know somebody who's interested in my material, make sure they subscribe to this channel. I'm going to put that out there as another reminder. Yeah. And again, folks, I have some really good, compelling ideas for some studies to do. And so I'm kind of looking for those perfect matches between people that are, understand that I have a skill set, but also are looking for, are kind of interested in what I'm trying to do also potentially, But right now, folks, it's really for me, whatever I do, it's got to be more of an income stream type thing, or at least a partnership that involves getting set up and established into something that'll eventually turn into something more relevant that way. I'm not really influenced that way, guys, but we have to have something that's sustainable, self-sustainable. And I do think that that's actually quite possible. And what I'm looking forward to is I would like to have a time when really as many of us, especially people that I used to know that have a lot of the skill sets that are required, that you understand that what we're going to have, what we're going to exist in the future is a life where you actually look forward to doing what you do every day, that I look forward to doing what I do, that we're proud of the work that we're involved in, that we don't look at each other and ask ourselves, are we doing the right thing? This is going to be something where that you're in control of knowing that it's the right thing because you're making it happen. You're actually manifesting it and vibrating into physical reality. And those who get it, they can always all contribute to the plasma field. So if I ever sound like this is like a blood group thing entirely, it's really not. It's what's important is who understands it. And then as long as you understand that your blood group is really just a series of concentrations of metals relative to the earth and the ionosphere, and that some people just get the lottery, when it comes to that perfect condition to act as a conduit between both ionosphere and earth relative to the metals in their blood. They just win the lottery that way, the same way that Michael Jordan can just slam 1,000 dunks and can play basketball like nobody else. Look, he practiced, he's talented, but there's blessings in there. There's other things that are going on that are a little bit more metaphysical. Sure, anybody would be foolish to assume otherwise. I don't care what your talent is. I don't care what it is. I'm not trying to say it just about him. He's a talented guy, and he definitely practiced hard to get there. But everybody does. Yet there's always going to be something that makes it easier for some to achieve certain results than others, right? Within the metaphysical, when you're a gifted person with this brainwave frequency thing, it's literally that it is easier for your brain to cycle. It is easier to get there, and it cycles there more naturally, simply because the materials that exist between the earth and the sky are just more common within your blood group compared to other people. So you can get that perfect balance. That's all, guys. And so not everybody can get that, but they can contribute to it. They can add their bit. And what I'm telling you is that what's most important is that you actually just sort of get this concept in general, that you do not have to accept physical reality. Yes, we have to exist within physical reality with one another, and we can't just say like, you don't exist. That's kind of what they're doing, to be honest with you. But yeah, when it comes to things that I think that we know are being manufactured, then why would we excessively waste like hours and hours of our time even thinking about those things instead of just doing something that we're building something ourselves? So here's what I'm talking about. Let's talk about like what we can do. Number one, focusing and creating tangible uh, tangible markers for exiting this news cycle. How do we do it? How do we keep ourselves from getting completely, immersed in this nonsense? In my experience, it just simply begins by shutting it off, spending as little time with it as possible, spending as little time with the Twitter sphere as possible. It is a negative energy loop. It really is. So is Facebook. It puts you in a negative energy cycles. It's designed to do it. It's a technology. I forget the name of it. There's actually an algorithm that's within Facebook that's designed to keep you in negative energy cycles. And I have to think that they've used it on Twitter because I've just seen the signs of it. You can find the patterns. Why are there so many things, folks, that are just trying to keep you thinking negatively if there's no such thing as a psychotronic generator and there's no such thing as bioplasma? Here's all I'm asking you to start taking into consideration every time you're out, is that bioplasma is in fact emitting from you the same way a cell tower that you look up at, that you see those antennas on, is in fact transmitting information. So are you. Everywhere you go, you're transmitting information. I don't care what you think. You are doing it both with your technology device. Yes, you have a cell phone that does it. But now I need you to translate that same reality to your physical body and your brain. And instead of just thinking of it as some passive thing, I want you to remember that the same way your phone transmits and receives information to the cell tower and back, you send and receive messages to the collective consciousness to and from, and you get them from to and from the earth resonance. This is all a reality because it's exactly how those cell tower networks operate. I promise you, it is. It's exactly how cell phone towers operate. The backhaul, the networks, the microwave dishes, all of it. Yes, some of it goes underground through fiber optics. Some of it passes above ground from microwave dish to microwave dish. The information is passing through the aether in some cases. Sometimes it passes over light underground. Interesting, isn't it? Just like the human machine, just like human cybernetic grids, technology, I promise you, technology truly is just simply a replica of everything that I used to do. I mean, everything I did in the tower industry, I've learned in all my research that it's really just replicating human processes in ways that we don't necessarily even need. And I would argue that we could probably do it better without the technology. But, I mean, again, we got to have something to transition. But yeah, I think that there's ways that we could be doing this. So, yeah, guys, I'm telling you, like the less time you spend on social media, the better off you are overall. I know we all agree on that. I wish I didn't have to spend as much time on it myself. I really don't want to, guys. I really want to be I want to be focused on entirely creating things that are spiritually uplifting and get people out of all this nonsense. And to me, the place that I'm best qualified in doing that is by helping people understand the pathway to what makes one thing like the other. And I do that through my work experience. I show people that, look, I'm a cell phone engineer, I'm a cell tower engineer. I can tell you from personal experience that as a person that built 75 of those cell towers, the way the human body and the human brain and the human heart, and us as a complete physical, biophysical, bioenergetic, vibratory engine, the way that we truly operate within the human consciousness is very similar to the way cell towers all operate amongst each other. We have clouds of coverage, we have biofields that extend body to body, person to person, and that when you have a cluster of us that are thinking similarly, then that has a multiplier effect in some way. It has a larger cloud to it, very similar to the way that once you put three cell phone towers that are on the same frequency together, then they can make what are called soft handoffs or even hard handoffs. It depends on the technology, I guess, in a situation. But meaning to say that you put three cell phone towers together and they communicate together and they communicate outbound together as a larger cloud of coverage. Brains work the same way, human machines work the same way. That's why common ideologies are kind of important in what you're thinking about relative to what others are thinking about when you're trying to structure this sort of new whatever that we're working on. Yeah, it matters it does matter. And, guys, I'm trying to find pathways to get as many people there as possible with the understanding that you can't pollute a certain pool of thinking excessively with people that are stuck and anchored. Yet there's got to be a middle ground through which they can achieve that at some point. And how do you get them to that point? For the people that are still a little bit lost in the old way of doing things, again, once you've made a lot of work, you really can't get stuck back there because it's damaging. I'm telling you, as a person that has to go, I keep getting put back there, folks. I just need you to understand. It's I get there, I get to the point where I really have it kind of mastered almost. Again, if it was mastered, I guess I wouldn't have to go back. But what I mean to say is that trying to get it to where I don't let myself get anchored in what's physically going on around me. But see, that's why they so aggressively will make things so tragic around me. They'll really go aggressive, guys, make it dark, bad. I mean, really, I just don't even like to talk about the things they do because it's the trafficking things. And it's just not a good spot to be focused on. And what I'm appealing to folks is a little bit is even if you didn't necessarily like me all that much, maybe, will you at least understand the science of what I'm telling you and why it's just important just for me to be within a working group of people where I'm safe and that we're working on a common set of ideologies together so that we can bring things into physical reality that need to be done. And that I don't have a lot of maliciousness for people overall just because I get people's hearts. I understand how they work. And I got to the place where I did today. It took years to get to this level of understanding. It took me being around so many different types of people in so many different states, even countries, flying across the world, talking to people across the world, spending time in airports in different places, spending time in rural communities, cities, suburbs, all of it. I've been all of it. Been to all of it, guys. I've been to the most rural country, Bama, spot of Kansas and Oklahoma. I mean, really, out in the middle of nowhere. And I've been to Spanish Harlem. I've been to Harlem in New York City. I've been to East St. Louis. I've been to all parts of Chicago. Been to every part of the nooks and crannies of Los Angeles. All those places. Every types of neighborhoods. I don't care if it was the Hollywood Hills or if it was, some of the most low income housing or whatever kind of neighborhoods or whatever. I've driven through all of them and spent time in all of them. And my beliefs just aren't informed by I just don't get into I don't know. I'm not sure what to tell you guys. Like I personally I don't want there to be this kind of division in our country right now because I really feel like it's predicated on something false. If I felt like the division that was going on right now was over something that was legit and there was people that just had a legitimate beef and they need to get it out, then that would be okay. Not okay, but it would just be more about me like going, okay, well, I don't like this, but I should stay out of it or whatever. But what I see happening is that there's a very masterful group of a small number of people that are really just trying to get all of us in this country to be arguing and fighting in the streets while they get away with the same crap that they got away with before. And the reason why they had to do it this way was to create constant chaos was the information era, folks. I think you need to just get this finally, please, those who don't get it yet. The reason why things are the way they are now is because getting away with the crimes relative to trafficking like they did before, I want you to think about the technology evolutions that have occurred the last 10 years. Data is way faster. All the cell phones are way faster. So you can't get away with crime now. You just can't. Yet they are. So how? By completely restructuring our perception of what reality is, giving us a complete fictional one to be distracted by while the real crime happens right in front of us. I hope you understand this because the reason why those of us who are civilians need to reach the military in a more meaningful way, independently, but always in aid of reaching out to them, is because we are going to be in a very challenging situation where we must create bridges for them between the civilian population and the military populations so that they understand exactly what we're going through out here and what is being hidden from them perhaps, especially at this critical moment. I was kind of mentioning it earlier before, folks, is that Biden keeps talking about like increasing military budgets, but he also seems quite keen on starting shit everywhere in ways that are reckless and not really in defense of America in any real way. It's just more like one, I think I'm just going to go poke. Hey, Putin, you're a killer. I mean, that's what he did. Dumb. Yet not dumb if you know what he's trying to achieve. The point is to troll them. The point is to make it difficult for America to get along. They're trying to get wars started. So I appeal to my friends in the military. I appeal to my friends who are veterans to say that what are we going to do as a collective of people that are either former, if those of you who are former, those of us who are civilians, what can we do together to prevent, number one, I don't want this war, whatever is going to potentially happen to begin with. But if there is a need, which it looks like there may be, if they keep doing things the way they are out in the streets, if there is a need for there to be action beyond what is currently happening, it is going to change the way we perceive. Look, guys, it's going to be something that's kind of, I'm not going to say it's unprecedented because there's been a precedent for it. It's happened before, but it's never associated with something good. It always has been presented as, this is an aggressive military doing horrible things to this population, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm telling you, folks, is that if we don't understand the trafficking element, and I don't want to talk about trafficking, but if you don't understand that there's a huge human trafficking element that is hiding out within Antifa and BLM, and that the media is a part of that, concealing that, because they're partners. The media is effectively, just like they advertise for Procter and Gamble, just like they advertise for Shell Oil and Chevron or whoever else like that, they have another way, a more coded way of advertising for human trafficking. It is done through news stories. It is done through sometimes the very news stories that allege to be reporting on human trafficking. Then, hidden within this news story is like a billboard for where the victims are and where to buy them or the locations to get them. It is that on steroids ridiculous. Because who are they really serving? This is fodder for you. You are how they make money, getting you to go, sure, I'll watch that. I want to know what's happening in my world. Are you? Are you really knowing what's happening in your world? Or did you just waste an hour of your time watching somebody talk about some things that aren't happening in the world? And who is that serving but them? They're getting you to focus on terms and words that are relevant to them and feed them vibratory frequency energy. End of story. It's giving them your power. When I say giving them your power, there is a scientific process involved with this. What does that mean? Every plasma plate that leaves your body is life force that you could hold on to, focus on something positive, and create and manifest with. When you focus on something of their design, that plasma platelet leaves your body, it floats all the way to them, and they go, thank you. I'm sucking your life away. That's what the media kind of does. Because you're giving them your plasma platelets. When I say they're sucking your energy, this is what it translates to. You need to start seeing it like the flow. A little bit like that movie Donnie Darko. I wonder if I have that slide, actually. That would be a great slide to show people. This is what happens to your plasma when you're like, yeah, I do have it. Perfect. This is what happens to your plasma. I used to put these in my musical presentations because I wanted people to see this and think about it a little bit more. This movie, Donnie Darko, explains quite a few things that are quite relevant, actually. But think of it like this way. That's your loosh. But you can't see it. But think of it like going forward, try to imagine that you can visualize it. And that when you give somebody your attention, when you allow them for you to focus on them excessively, I want you to look at that. And so imagine that the more of this that you can keep inside of you, to focus on what you want to manifest for you, the better. Or that when this exits your body, that wherever it goes, it's going to build up and add vibratory energy, frequency, vibration, and energy to wherever it goes. The plasma platelets are in this. It separates from your blood at a frequency level. It enters into an invisible process where it exits your body, and then it finds its way to whatever you're fixated and focused on. Now, if we all think about a house, then yes, it vibrates into boom, 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 a house. We think about, I don't know, a boat, boom, 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 becomes a boat. We vibrate into a lamp, boom, 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 boom. Okay. So you can take it at that kind of literal whatever, that the more we all think about what a lamp looks like, it vibrates what a lamp looks like into frequency. That's way more esoteric. Or think of it this way, bioenergetically, what this process truly involves is that when you love somebody, you're literally sending positive orgone radiation spectrum platelets from your blood are emitted like that water frequency there. Think of that as flowing positive orgone radiation. Let's just say this person's in love. Donnie Darko's in love in this photo. And whoever is on the receiving end of his love is actually going to get those programmed plasma platelets that are in that coil emitting from his chest. That it'll actually give them building blocks that'll improve their health, make them look better, younger, whatever you want to say. They'll look healthier. I don't like to say better. They'll just look healthier. When you love, when you feel a sense of attraction or admiration, that's the effect it has. It actually will improve the health of the other person if you yourself are healthy-minded, and have healthy plasma platelets. If it's the opposite, that it isn't really going to do a whole lot, I guess. Although I would argue that POR spectrum plasma platelets just separate that way and they benefit people regardless. But the point would be that you have to look at this a little bit more as like it's transmittable. Plasma is transmittable to and from. And that this is why the news cycle is exploited. It's to get you to program this plasma emission from your body with what they want. And I'm telling you that the more you shut them off, the more you decide what's in here. And the more you restrict your environment to those who co-create with you. And if you're all thinking the same, then you form clouds like this that are more like waves, that are more like, well, let's say waves instead of tsunamis or, tidal waves or something like that. Because it's not like it's that whatever, but I'm saying that like the momentum, the force of what you create is exponentially stronger. You're combining your plasma platelets because when they combine, what's causing that reaction within the aether is that this becomes more like I said, like a large wave, because all of them are merging together through the common thought. The parts that are not common separate and go someplace else. Think that through a little bit. So if all these people are thinking like, I love America, then, and that's like what they're mostly fixated on. Say they're 50% focused on I love America, and the other 50% is I love my spouse. Okay. Well, here's what's going to happen is the three people that are all doing that with Donnie Darko or whatever, the 50% that says I love America, that all merges together into one cloud like this. Okay. That part will go whoop. That's the commonality to their thoughts become things, right? And then the other parts go into the other places where they're sending their love to their spouses. That other 50%, one's saying like, hey, I love my spouse over here. The person say, hey, I love my spouse over here. The other person saying, hey, I love my spouse over there. And that's where the other cloud is traveling. But you see where I'm saying, though, the three that have formed into the ones that say, I love America, now you have this larger one that's not 3 times the size that was before. But I would argue that what you're adding into that is now you're bringing in materials that are not common to you, and that they are common to those other people. So now you're reinforcing it. You're creating sort of something unique. This is part of what is part of the co-creation, the process of, coexistence, even at a larger scale. Because now what you're doing is you're bioenergetically merging your love of America into one common belief waveform that now will build momentum. And one way brainwave will travel around the world a couple times. I think they said it's something like 20,000 miles, and this 20,000 miles, like one way from one side to the other is like 10,800 nautical miles. So I guess that's all the way around the Earth. Yeah. So it sounds to me like your thoughts become things. These emissions, I'll actually go one entire cycle around the world, which makes complete sense if you think about it, because that's karma, but not in a sense of like, well, you get what you deserve. No, that's not what I mean by karma. It means more like energy always returns. And so what you're focused on and fixated on, or what you send out energetically, does return. So it's thinking a little bit about, um, how do you just become better and more in tune with controlling this mechanism and not allowing others to hijack that and getting you into what I call false karma cycles. Others call it too. I'm not saying that I made that up, but how do you get out of a false karma cycle if they're constantly bombarding us with these things? I would just say that you have to take more ownership of it. You must know by now that these people are lying to you. They're lying to all of us. So we just have to take more ownership over it, not get upset, but just kind of go, okay, this is a waste of my time. I cannot regard it. And anytime that happens to you, you really have to get better at it, folks. Really just like shutting it off, shutting it down and saying like, you know what? This is not benefiting me. This is not benefiting the collective consciousness. I'm not manifesting anything that's going to help the world. I have to shut this down and start to co-create and coexist. But again, folks, I know it's easier said than done because I'm going through that right now. Okay. They're sending all kinds of challenges in my way. That's okay, though. There's also people that are sending opportunities my way. That's why, guys, right now, I'm not trying to be dark or whatever. It's me saying like dark or whatever. Ooh, Donnie Darko. Didn't mean to say that. No, I mean to say that now's the time, folks. You really have to get this going. And those who want to, like, I'm saying that we got to go, we got to do it now. And again, I'm not trying to be like crack the whip or anything like that. It's just saying that, like, I want you to take a look at what's going on right now in our country and ask yourself if you feel like we can really afford to lose a lot of the momentum that we have right now. That's all. We have so much momentum. I established all this momentum up and down the Oregon coast, the California coast. If you guys understood the level of energy work that I do, what I do to consciously meditate and focus in all these regions, that I take this very seriously and that it does work. That I know how to basically create technology hacks within the collective consciousness, within the biofield, to draw in more attention to a location, a region, or a situation energetically. I've done it. It happened with all the material that I was doing on the Oregon coast, I promise you. So that's it. And what I'm working on today is proving that basically certain what I would like to do. I'm going to finish this up in the last however many I'm going to spend like another 20 minutes here, but this is going to be kind of like the finishing thoughts here about what I'd like to create. I would really like us to be thinking about energetics here in America seriously, focusing on subtle energy and understanding this exact concept, because what begins to happen is you become more personally responsible for what you're thinking about, and it makes you a more mature human being, and your culture evolves exponentially. It's just something I've observed about the countries, frankly. Excuse me, sorry to be rude. It's what I've observed about the people in Russia. There's a sophistication over there. There's something about the way that they have their chins up, and they have like a certain confidence and pride in what they're doing. And yeah, we have a little bit of that too here, folks. We have a lot of it here actually. And it's not always misapplied, but sometimes it is. Sometimes we're really proud of some things that we really shouldn't be proud of, or we really think that something's awesome that really actually kind of sucks. And so what I mean to say is that I would like us to have that same like level of like, I know what this all is. This is very illusory. I can figure this out. I'm smarter than this. If we don't, ladies and gentlemen, if those of us who can figure this out don't do something more meaningful to help with the collective consciousness, we don't have to take responsibility for everybody. In fact, that's not even the point. In fact, I would argue that that's almost more damaging when you try to take on every single individual case. It's worse when you're more focused on just bringing something better into reality overall and actually focusing and concentrating on it daily. It's almost like you have to think of it like it's your project meeting of your metaphysical biofield project meeting of what do we want to see happen. Let's start talking about that. What would change in our society right now if those of us who have figured out the secret began thinking of our lives and what our country is today the same way we did back when I was constructing cell towers, or maybe anybody who's ever been involved with a construction project or any project coordination or project management? What if we just as a society, what if some of us who have the ability and the time just sat down and said, like, this is our job now. This is what we're going to do. We're going to find all the ways we can, who are the people doing it right? Where can we create bridges? How do we reach out to these people and how do we verify this or that? Or, again, guys, like we have to do this. Somebody's got to start taking the initiative here and doing this in a more meaningful way. Right now, the information control, if we don't figure out more clever ways of forming a new media and dancing around some of these techniques, they really are going to cut us all off from each other. It's going to be so easy to flip that switch that one day none of us can find each other because we relied so heavily on the same methods. We've got to be smarter. We've got to create something where people will know where it is almost to go to when this all happens, guys. There has to be something nearly like a field of dreams type location. I've been talking about this on the sidelines with some other folks too. That we need to have something that almost serves as like a beacon location, that's like a central location to go to for people relative to energetic sciences. Number one, that has to be a huge part of it, because I want this to be something that is metaphysical and spiritual, but not rooted in one set of like spirituality or one form of religion at all. I want it to be completely scientific, because I think that once people understand this science of energetics, that they'll understand that it's what brought their religion or their spirituality into physical reality. Because I don't doubt that some people have a physical reality to their religion. I really don't, if that's what people think. I think the power of the human mind is that strong, where you can bring everything into physical reality through focused concentration, through the collective hive mind, and having enough people unify their plasma fields together to make those things reality. I've seen it happen. I know what I can do individually. I'm very excited to know what I can do when I'm in a strong working group and we're regularly meeting and figuring out what it takes to change everything within the information flow in America. A multifaceted group where we're both working hard at getting it done, but also, earning a living and being successful and everything else like that. It's all possible. They would have you believe, and they want us to believe, folks, that, that it's all just irreversible now. Look at how tragic this is, guys. Look how bad it is. It's all horrible, isn't it? Starting up the same things in the same locations they did last time. Why? I don't want to get too deep into the dark news cycle, folks, but I just want you to remember, like, look at some of these latest scandals about some of the people that are getting caught being predators. And I want you to see what side of the fence they've been on, who they've been supporting. Some of these people that have been getting caught with some of the child exploitation material, they're very heavily in bed with the idea of chaos in the streets. They love it. They've been promoting a lot of these people and like the Antifa groups. So if politicians that are typically doing that are also on the side of the ones that are getting caught with like child porn or exploitation of children, in some cases, again, guys, I know it's really popular to go after like Gates and the Lincoln Project guy. Lincoln Project, they're rhinos, guys. Let's face it; those are real Republicans, anyways. But which is consistent, guys. That's so consistent with the way they do it. The ones on the other side will pretend to be the right or whoever. They don't care, guys. They have no loyalties to left or right. But that's a lot of times the thing that they're into. And then the whole distraction is because they're into kids and they're just trying to get you all to argue. And when I saw that there's like a couple cases recently where these guys, there were some like politicians that were tweeting constantly about like, yeah, this is a good thing. These people are warriors. There are street soldiers that are burning down all of our buildings in Portland and everything like that. I'm going, they are? No, they're not, because they don't even see it that way themselves, guys. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. I'm not trying to go dark tonight, guys. I'm just saying, like, the media is reinforcing that narrative. So we have got to change the media. We've got to come up with something where we ourselves are the ones that are pushing the real narratives, that we have to create information. We have to create news articles and that are just completely unbreakable, unwithable. They have every T crossed, every I dotted, everything done properly, everything done with that same level of perfection if you can get it. That used to be mandatory. I see some people doing that now, and they get pats on the head, they get a little bit of credit, but they never get the kind of notoriety that I see some of these other characters get that I know are just sort of kicking the can down the road and just faking what they are. And I want to see the people that are really doing this right and really have the truth in their pocket get the kind of respect that they deserve. And again, it's not even about the respect. I mean, I think for these kind of people, they themselves aren't looking for the recognition. They just want the access for people to get their truth. And they're really putting out some pretty remarkable news stories or just doing really groundbreaking research. And so let's see if we can't just start off by maybe getting something together that is an alternative to some of these things, that we can start with one really good series that I think can translate. I have an idea for doing a whole series of areas where, and I have some relationships I already have established from a long time ago that'll help it. That'll help us get this whole thing going. But what I'm going to need though is obviously funding. That's a whole nother topic that's meaningful. But yeah, I need to film it. So I'm going to need somebody that can be hired, who's decent at being a videographer or at photography, and relatively decent, I guess you could say, at sound or whatever. And then just getting this thing filmed and recorded and doing some of these experiments. And I think it'll be fun. I think when you add in history, you start showing people like, what's the history of Mary Hill Stonehenge, for example, and then that's one location. Oh wow! Now, why did they pick? Now let's talk about that. Why did, whether it's the Mary Hill Stonehenge or the ancients who built Stonehenge in Ireland, when you visit it, to ask the question, why did they build here? Well, what would the reasons be? What do they say? What's the lore? Well, they say it had special energy. They said that the gods would visit here and it had special energies, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, okay. Well, what would that mean? What does the gods visited here mean? Well, let's find out. Let's get out this meter. Let's get out this meter. Let's find out what the electrical fields are, the magnetic fields are. Let's find out what the Earth resonance is. Let's get the Sputnik meter and do the subtle energy fields. Let's see how everybody's biofield, how their body electricity changes when they're in their hotel. And then we'll measure them all in the hotel. Then we take them all out, say, hey, let's all meet at this location at this time for the next part of the tour. And when we arrive, everybody will have their biofields measured, and then we'll do that. And then, we go to the next location. It's a kind of a cool thing because then a person can kind of understand better how different areas affect their mood and their physiology. And I think the more people get that, the more it opens up different pathways for new economies and greater understandings of just makes what we exist in is in general, but in a way that's exciting, in a way that it is for me. That's all I can tell you guys. Like I've been investigating this for a long time now, and every time I get a new piece of test gear, and they try to do something to rug sweep me, I just keep laughing because it's just like, wow, man, like you guys really just like you're that spiteful, huh? You don't want people to know this? It's so beautiful. Why don't you want people to know? Well, that's anti-life. What do you want me to tell you? This is so life affirming. This research is so incredibly life affirming. Okay, it is. And I'm going to be reaching out to some other folks too. There's a lot of um, potential for doing something pretty amazing. I just don't have. Look, guys, I need a couple of the building blocks to get from point A to point B to point C is all. And right now, just the Las Vegas thing. I got stuck and stranded, man. I'm not. I don't. It's not the place that I want to be. I have family in Vegas, and so that's one of the reasons why historically I've gone here. It's a cheap place to live. I hate casinos, guys. So there's none of that shit going on. I can assure you. I'm not a gambler. I don't like any of that kind of crap. I don't really even enjoy the culture. It's just that it's always been really really cheap to get um, places to live for like a week at a time compared to other parts of the country. That's really what it amounts to. Um, but that's all kind of gone away. So I really want to get to a different location, a place that has a better environment, more water. I want to do more water studies. I really studied the hell out of these desert areas that have desert conditions, desert hotels relative to water, or measuring water relative to body electricity. I mean, I've done a lot of that. And so I really need to get to the point where I'm kind of closer to the water, I think, or at least closer to trees and mountains. More areas where there's a little bit more life affirming energies right now because I've kind of figured this part out. And now I need to kind of prime the pump in the other direction, both with my research and just at a human biophysical level. My personal happiness is important to me also, just to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm just telling you, energetically, I could be doing a lot better around surrounded by a little bit more nature, water, whatever. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, research wise, project wise. Anybody who's contemplating that or anything else like that, looking for some of the measurements or looking for some of the research to be done relative to that. Now is really the time to start, taking it seriously. I've got to make up my mind what direction or the other I'm going to be heading in. But again, there's a couple other people I'd like to reach out to let you know that, and I'll write you some emails here if I don't send something out tonight. I will very shortly or tomorrow to get something spurned, I guess, a little bit. Some folks that I've talked to historically to say like, what can we do? Maybe some I actually haven't talked to, so maybe I'll try to reach them too. But just see what we can do to get this concept going to where we all kind of have a win-win. Some people get their businesses started going again. People feel healthier. I can make a lot of people healthier. I can make a lot of businesses run smoother and reinvigorate tourism in a lot of areas around the country here, especially here in America, and in ways that they probably didn't even experience pre-COVID. And I mean that seriously. So once you really understand what this all amounts to. Anyways, thanks folks for joining. I appreciate it. And please subscribe and tell others to